Okay, recording has started. So hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining our webinar on automated anomaly detection with StarTree's Third Eye. I am Karine Wallach, and this is Yarden Rokach. We're part of the community team over at StarTree. And we're here to just introduce your speakers and just kind of give you a really quick lay of the land. There is a chat, so please feel free to jump in and say hello to other people. We have people from like literally all over the world. I'm in Philadelphia, Yarden's in Lisbon, someone's from Sacramento, Robert from Sacramento. We have somebody from India. So we have people from all over the world, which is really cool. I always love hearing where people are from. And we do also have a Q&A. So this presentation, it's going to start off as a presentation, and then we will have a Q&A afterwards. So if you put your questions in the Q&A, we will get to them at the end of the presentations. And I am going to introduce our speakers. I'm going to try to make it as awkward as I can for them right before they start presenting. So I'll start off with Madhumita Mantri. So she's a techno-creative data R&D product manager. She's currently the product lead at StarTree, focused on like the Third Eye product. She enjoys solving problems for data users to deliver successful user and business outcomes by unlocking data potentials. I feel like everyone's like, me too. She spent a good chunk of her career strategizing, leading, building, and solution architecture and deploying personalized data products, platform experience and internal products in social media and applied AI, trust and feed content quality, data science, AI, analytics, CRM, ad serving, at companies like LinkedIn, Yahoo, Intuit, PayPal. She's passionate about data, applied AI, coaching, public speaking, and social good. So welcome, Madhu. And then I will give the introduction to Tim. So Tim is the VP of Developer Relations at StarTree. He is a teacher, an author, and a technology leader with StarTree, where he serves as the VP of Developer Relations. He is a regular speaker at conferences and has a quite famous presence on YouTube, explaining complex technology topics in an accessible way. He tweets at Berglund, TL Berglund, and blogs every few years at timberglund.com. He lives in Littleton, Colorado, and he has 3 grown children. And I think you have to update your.
Does it say one?
Yeah, it says
it's
one.
2. Oh, see,
He's
almost 4 months old, and I'm already the second grandchild is getting left out. This is how things go wrong in families.
Yeah, so you might also, I don't know why this isn't in his bio, but prior to working at StarTree, he was also with Confluent and DataStax and GitHub. So you might recognize him amongst the industry, as he's been doing this for quite a while. So like I said, real quick, before we hand it off to speakers, if you have any questions, please put it in the Q&A. Feel free to make comments, chats, whatever. We'll pick it back up at the end of the presentations and just do the Q&A segment. And also make sure you join the StarTree Slack. If you're interested in chatting more about Third Eye or any kind of StarTree products or any questions even about Apache Pinot, a lot of the PMCs and committers are also there as well. And welcome everyone, and welcome to our speakers.
Thank you, Karine.
Thank you, Karine.
So
I'll hand it off to you guys. I'll come back during the Q&A and help.
Gotcha. Yarden, would you like to share the deck? And did I say Yarden? I meant Madhu. I definitely didn't mean Yarden.
Yarden's like, this is not my job.
Yarden's like, I don't have the deck.
This makes sense.
Madhu, do you want to share?
Sure.
Okay.
Let me put it in presenter mode.
Absolutely. All right. Madhu and I are going to talk about Third Eye today, really give you an introduction to Third Eye. I'm going to spend a little bit of time sort of setting the stage for what it does and why it matters. And she's going to tell you a bit about the product itself, and she's going to do a demo of the product live, which is a great idea in a meetup, in an online meetup. And yeah, then we'll talk about kind of where you can go from there if you're interested, and I think it sounds like something that's worth checking out. Let's get started. Madhu, give me the next slide there. So that thing right there, that's the problem. And that is a problem. Anybody who is concerned with, we'll just say time series data, okay? If there are things happening that you can quantify and they happen over time and you're interested in them, sometimes they do stuff you don't expect and you need to know why. And it's a hard problem because, next slide, this is, on the one hand, like, I didn't take this picture. It's a piece of stock art, right? It's like, oh, hey, a city at night. But I do this when I fly. I travel a lot, and when I look down, particularly like the suburbs around a city, for whatever reason, it's the suburbs that do it to me. I just think about all of the things happening and all of the activities that have to be coordinated for this incredibly sophisticated set of interlocking systems to work. All right. To put that another way, there are a tremendous amount of things happening in the world. There are a lot of businesses that people are operating that are delivering services, products, and everything that needs to make even just this tiny little snapshot of a city work. Now, whatever business you're in, or if you're a consultant, your clients, however that works, there's some subset of that you care about, but there's still a lot of things happening. And you need to know what those things are. And it's completely overwhelming to think about everything going on in that world. And then, like I said, when one of those numbers wiggles, one of those charts wiggles in a way that you don't expect it to, it's kind of overwhelming to look at the complexity of the entire world, even maybe your business's view of it, and hope that you can get some kind of insight. And how do we handle this usually? Next slide. With more stock art, no, the answer is kind of the state of the art to a large degree is we make dashboards, right? We make dashboards. Dashboards are great. No beef against dashboards. And we stare at them. Like, you can do that. If you have single dimensional data and your time isn't worth all that much, you can just look at the dashboard and kind of learn how things are supposed to look. And when they look a little different, for not terribly dimensional data, where it's just like, kind of one parameter that's not interacting with other parameters. Brains are actually incredibly good at anomaly detection because we're really good at pattern matching in ways that, we're only beginning to learn how to write software to mimic. This breaks down in a couple of ways, though. Next slide. I guess, before I talk about that, the question is, why did the metrics drop? The CEO, and by the way, the kind of the origins of Apache Pinot and the origins of ThirdEye, I'll go back to LinkedIn, and the CEO of LinkedIn was literally the anomaly detector. He'd get this email report on a daily basis every morning, and some number would be off, and he would forward the email to the right folks in the organization, the right leaders, and just say, why? Right, like that was his forward. Oh, okay, cool, okay. And now this kicks off this big process. Next slide, of investigating, trying to form a theory of the crime. And this is hard because, okay, the metric has some anomaly has been detected. Maybe we figured that out. Now we need to know, is there a root cause and what is it? That could be hours of running reports, performing experiments, forming hypotheses. You know how this kind of problem solving goes, right? Arguing different points of view, because you're like, oh, that report will take 2 hours, that won't be 3, and it's this big long job we have to run, and we don't have time for the 3-hour report. My hypothesis is better, and it's a smaller investment to get the data. These kind of arguments in potentially high stakes situations. If it's something really big, if it's a high stress situation, that's hard to do. Now, a good, well-gelled team where there's trust and safety and things, that process works. But do you want that life? It's clearly bad to do root cause analysis in that way. And next slide, even worse, I don't know, but I think having the CEO as the anomaly detector sounds like a bad idea. Maybe the board should ask some questions. Seems like you could delegate that to somebody whose time is less valuable to the organization. But really, is there any person who should be doing that work? It's even worse than this. It's not just that it's inefficient for you to stare at dashboards and sounds boring you don't want that job. I made a qualification earlier for not terribly dimensional data. You can do this. When it is dimensional data and there are potentially dozens of interacting parameters, even go for 10, you're already at the point where the number of charts you'd have to look at and develop a pattern for and develop a sense for becomes large enough that the incredibly sophisticated mental pattern matching tools that we have natively, just as human beings with the brains that we have, they don't work very well on highly dimensional data. It just gets to be too much. We get overwhelmed and that doesn't work. In other words, this is a job for a computer. So next slide before I hand it off to Madhu. This is Third Eye. There are three problems that we need to solve, right? We need to get data into the anomaly detector. We need to detect the anomalies, and we need to provide tools to help people explore what's going on in that highly dimensional data and figure out what it is that happened in the world to make that chart wiggle in the way that it did. Maybe there's action that we can take. We want an insight, and we would like it to be an actionable insight. This is what Third Eye does, and this is why it exists. And to tell you what it actually does, show you it working, Madhu, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Tim, for giving a great walkthrough and talking about the evolution of Third Eye and why Third Eye. So I'll dive into the product, quickly talk about what is StarTree Third Eye. Well, in one sentence, if I have to explain, it helps with fast-track problem solving and improves decision making using those actionable insights that you learn from the anomalous events. It has three core pillars. The first one is, as Tim was talking about, once you decided with what to monitor, you need to connect to the data source. And the great part of StarTree Third Eye is it is built on top of Apache Pinot. That makes it super easy to connect data sources, both real-time and offline together. And you can query aggregated queries against it, which will return results in sub-seconds and will help you to identify those outliers very quickly. So that is the first pillar, and it does it very seamlessly. As a user of Third Eye, you don't have to worry about how do I connect, how do I bring the data sources. You just have to plug in and you can start using Third Eye if you have Apache Pinot. The second one is the smart detection techniques and alerting mechanism that Third Eye has. It helps the users to identify what went wrong. And why I call it as smart? Well, we have pre-configured anomaly detection templates that is provided or created by StarTree. And if you start using StarTree Third Eye, you get that all as a package. And as a user, if you are an analyst or a data scientist whose task or a data engineer tasked to detect anomalies, writing anomaly detection algorithm, you know the pain. You have to build data pipelines. You have to write the algorithm or incorporate the algorithms and detect anomalies. Guess what? With using Third Eye, all that pain from you is taken away. The pain of managing an infra like that and building the pipelines, running the detection pipelines, all that is taken away. All you need to do is use this pre-configured template, just plug it in and start using Third Eye. And it also comes with a lot of flexibility in terms of if you are an advanced developer, you are very explorative, you want to try your own algorithm or customize it. It also gives that plugins that you can plug to Third Eye and start detecting anomalies. You don't have to worry about managing the data pipelines and taking all the overhead that usually comes otherwise. The third part is once you detect what went wrong, what is important for you to understand is what is going wrong, because most of the time it doesn't end there, like what went wrong, so what? So most of the time, as an analyst, you are answering a lot of your stakeholders why something went wrong, and you know how difficult it is. You have to go to different places and try to find the root cause. With Third Eye, what it does is it makes it super easy for you to consume with an interactive root cause analysis. And you can see some key insights, what has contributed to the anomaly, and you can further do dimension drills to understand where the problem exists. And that helps you to come up with actionable insights that you could take along with you and take the right action as quickly as possible. So overall, it helps with reduced mean time to detect and resolve anomalies. This is a quick snapshot of how how Third Eye is adding value to you as a user. On the left-hand side, you can see that's the anomaly. I will be doing a demo in a few about this in detail, but you can clearly see how you can identify a drop or a spike, and that's the anomaly, and it has the right visuals to make you learn that as quickly as possible. Once you have that, you are going to use the dimension drills that I was talking about in previous slide, the interactive root cause analysis, which helps you to identify what went wrong. And I will be going over in detail how I got it here, but I'll keep that for later. Now let's look at what's special about StarTree Third Eye. Well, StarTree Third Eye, the value prop is the first thing that I briefly talked about, which is the running on Apache Pinot and how it is turning out to be reduced MTTD. Well, the sums and counts and aggregates that you usually run on a time series data to find the outlier in your time series data, that is done super quick in sub-seconds. And that's usually not there with many other anomaly detection products or solutions. The second thing is the detection templates that is pre-configured for you, and it makes it super easy, but it also gives you a lot of knobs, full control in your hand. So before you can even create those alerts and build an alert fatigue, it gives you the knobs that you could change and create an accurate alert that really matters for you. So that way you are not overwhelmed with alert fatigue. And interactive root cause analysis, I already spoke about. Besides that, it also has a super easy to use UI and a great community that you can get support from. Tim, I will hand over this part to you if you would like to go over the Third Eye use cases and users.
I muted myself. Of course. Thank you, Madhu. Yeah, there are, it's always a good idea to think about, like, all right, what kind of person uses this and what do they do with it? So broadly, and by the way, this is a new product. This is just launched. So this is the kind of thing that generally gets refined over time. And you as you're not adopters yet. That comes at the end of the meetup. But you're coming to the first meetup that's ever happened on Third Eye. So you're people who are interested in this from the beginning, which means your input into the persona question is super interesting. And we'd love to talk in Slack after the fact about that if you've got other ideas. But anyway, you've got people who are data engineers. They are producers in the sense that they're the ones managing the pipes. And sometimes people who are responsible for that layer of infrastructure are also responsible for higher level functions like anomaly detection. In the middle, you've got what we call data consumers and insight enablers. So these are not people with primary infrastructure responsibility, but they are looking for insights. They're like the kind of the first layer of insight consumer. I guess we call them insight enablers. We're trying to make those insights possible. Then at the top, you have decision makers. Now, there is, I don't ever want to put too much emphasis on the decision maker. In the story I started with, it's the CEO who forwarded the anomaly report with the why question that kicked off all the chaos and everything. And that matters. There are people high in the organization who need to make big decisions and need access to insights in real time. So those insight consumers there are a key persona and a key kind of person who would use a thing like Third Eye, but they're not the only one. This isn't a hierarchy where, oh, finally we get to the CEO. This is the real person this is for. No, the folks who are doing operational monitoring of data pipelines over on the other side, that person also needs a thing like Third Eye to tell them, oh, something's wrong with your infrastructure. Not, new signups have gone down by 3% today. Why? Or hamburger sales are down 1.5% less than we'd think. That's kind of a CEO question, but the performance of the data pipeline in terms of very much boots on the ground kinds of anomaly detection and insight generation, that stuff matters too, all across the organizations. This is not just a thing for people at the top. That's an old school way to think about analytics, and we see it as a broader effort. Next slide. What do they do? And I kind of elaborated on this a little bit, but the operational intelligence folks are looking at the performance of systems. So, cloud costs, that's not a particularly real-time thing, but that's an anomaly that's interesting. There could be a lot of data and it's easy for things to be missed. Oops, somebody pushed a commit that had some AWS credentials, and some crypto miners have spun up just enough EC2 instances to get some work done, but not enough to be easily noticeable. That kind of anomaly you want on that operational intelligence end of the spectrum. You want to be able to find that stuff. Small performance changes. Broadly, the problem of observability, right, on the left there. In the middle, these product folks are looking for, broadly called product analytics. That's a specialized space. But once you've got a pipeline of events describing clicks and interactions and things customers are doing in your products, once there's enough of that data, you can't keep track of it yourself. You need something to detect anomalies right away so that in real time when product KPIs have changed. And of course, up at the top, the decision-making stuff. That tends to be the easy stuff to imagine when you think about anomaly detection, right? This marketing campaign didn't work, or it did, or orders are up 50%. What's going on? I want to know what the root cause of that good news is. At the top level, we call that augmented intelligence in that that use case for the high up in the organization user. Madhu, is it time for the demo?
Yep. Thank you, Tim, for giving a walkthrough of all different users and use cases. For today's demo purpose, I'm going to focus on the analyst who is supporting the sales operations, marketing operations, business operations overall to monitor what went wrong with sales data. And it's the average sales price for orders that are being placed. And if there is an anomaly happens, my job is as an analyst to inform my stakeholders as quickly as possible so that they can take necessary actions to prevent any business or revenue losses. And before Third Eye, as Tim spoke, my job was really tough, staring at dashboards, and sometimes I have delayed detection of issues and not in real time. And my life was hell, like looking at different sources and finding answers for my decision makers. So now I will quickly show you using Third Eye how my life has improved. So as a user, if you are using Third Eye, you will land on a page like this. And as part of the demo, I will quickly walk you through how you can connect to the data sources that you're interested in, how you can configure alert that you're interested in terms of what do you want to monitor, and how you will investigate once an anomaly happens. So in the configuration, if you are already a StarTree StarTree user, like using StarTree products and services, it's seamless for you. This all comes by default. You don't have to do anything. We connect seamlessly to your data sources. But if you are not yet started using StarTree Third Eye, then there are different ways you can use StarTree Third Eye, and we will share those links on the chat. And you can get started with our community edition quickly and then evolve to more of StarTree experience. So as these things are automatically configured for you, which is the first thing is the data source, then the next thing is all the data sets that are part of your data source that are automatically onboarded to Third Eye, and you can also manually onboard them as needed on a need basis. Your metrics, so KPIs and all that you have in your data gets onboarded to the platform seamlessly. You don't have to do anything additional here. These are the alert templates that I spoke about earlier, which are pre-configured for you. As you can see, handful of them, which is StarTree threshold percentile, which means a threshold based and percentile. Using that, how you can detect anomalies in your data. Holt Winters is an interesting algorithm, and my demo will be focused around that, which looks into seasonality. If you have time series data having certain seasonality, and you're tired of setting and readjusting your thresholds because you set one time, your metric shifts, and again, you have to change your threshold. And using Holt Winter, that pain is completely taken away from you, and it does it smartly, so you don't have to keep adjusting your thresholds again. Likewise, there are many other templates that you can use right off the bat. We have also something called subscription group. It is something I'm sure will be interesting to you. So once you detect anomalies, how would you get notified? And this is what makes it easy for you. Today, we support email, Slack, and webhook. Using all of these, you can get notified at whatever cadence you would like to, and all that features are available as part of Third Eye, and it's very easy to use. I mean, you just have to click the create subscription button, and as you can see, you can configure your notification details here and start getting notified. And then something called events, which is very interesting. What we do over here is, this is a framework that we give to all our users. You could ingest all custom events, and some of the events like Google Calendar and all are automatically ingested to the platform if configured. And we are also building few other connectors in the event space. But how it is going to help you is, once you detect an anomaly and you see a spike or a drop, you can correlate the events and get to the root cause quickly. As an example, if you have seen a sales price spike during Christmas, you can associate that with Christmas holiday, and then no doubt like why there was a spike, and you can get to the root cause. I gave a simple example, but you could go crazy with that. Like if you have deployment logs, you can bring it in. And if there is a feature release that has caused a drop in the metric, you can quickly correlate that and debug and find the issues as quickly as possible. So now let me go through creating an alert. So the way you can create alert is, there are some existing alert here. You can always look at what are the existing alert. If you're interested in any of the existing alert, you can click on that and create duplicate. Or you can also create by clicking on create alert here. For today's demo purpose, I have an existing alert which I would like to take and then create anomalies for that. And you can see how quickly you can configure the alert and start detecting anomalies. So for this, I just copied the configuration that I had already, and I'm going to demo that very quickly. So in the alert, as you copy the template, as you can see, it is very simple to use. It has the StarTree template. So it does use Holt Winter algorithm. If you are an analyst or data scientist or developer who have used Holt Winter algorithm before, and you know the pain, like how to prepare the data and run the algorithm on top of it and change the parameter and adjust or tune your alert, all that you could do with the simple UI configuration. It's super easy. You provide the dataset name, and this is something like on the time column, because you're looking at the seasonality of the data and finding outliers. So which is the time column that you would look into. And then you provide the aggregation function. You could do some count. For this demo purpose, I'm using average because I'm interested in looking at average sales price drop. And then you can train the model to look back period with like whether you want to look at year-long data and what is the seasonality pattern you're interested in studying, whether monthly or weekly or daily. You could set all of that. You can also, how granular you would like to go, you can do that by configuring simple parameters here. And you can set sensitivity if you want to get like the alert to be really sensitive and catch every anomalies. You could increase the number here, and we will see in the demo how you could do, or you could reduce based on if you don't want to get too many alerts. So for this demo purpose, I'm using an older data. So my data is starting from 2013. So I'll just go back to that date and I'll try to see how the data looks like for me. So as you can see quickly, I haven't created the alert yet. It has generated a preview for you to decide whether your anomaly pattern looks fine. And this is what you're interested in. And the whole Winter algorithm automatically learns your pattern. So you can plot the pattern and see how the pattern looks like. And if all looks good, in case you want to change something, as an example, if I want to train my model by looking at a seasonality pattern for last 15 days, I can change that here and see quickly. This is where I can tune my alert very quickly instead of programmatically. So you can see the pattern has shifted a little bit, and I'm detecting fewer anomalies because I'm only looking at 15 days granularity. And this data is a large data set from 2013 to 2019, so 6 years of data. So obviously the granular you go, you may see interesting insights there. So I will go ahead for the interest of time and create an alert. I'm not going to create notification yet, but you could totally do that from here. And another thing I forgot to mention, that in case you're not interested in looking at code and you're somebody you want to just on the go and want to see pretty UI kind of look and feel, you can always switch to simple view and adjust your parameters and try to preview your alert and get started. For this demo purpose, I will go ahead, and since I've already checked my alert looks good in terms of tuning wise, I'll go ahead and create it. And once I create, I need to change my date to the older date because it's an older data set I'm trying to use for the demo purpose. So you can see in a few, the anomalies will be generated. So let's refresh the screen and see the anomalies are generated like in few seconds. You can see the bunch of anomalies generated. So now I would like to look at what is those anomalies look like. And if something interesting to me, this is the anomaly report view you can come to. But besides this also, as I said, usually you can like once you configure the alert, you configure your notification, you will be getting notified through an email or Slack, and you can come back to the anomaly and try to debug what's going wrong with the data. So for this demo purpose, I am interested in looking some information that has happened more recently with the data, say in 2017 and sometime in the August-July timeframe. So I will quickly look into that. So there are a lot of deviation you can see since it's a large data set and I trained on only 15 minutes. So the patterns are quite interesting over here. I clicked on an anomaly, and then you can see in this case, there is a drop as compared to the sales forecast. And when this drop happens, why this drop happens, that is when you would like to investigate further. And you click on the investigate anomaly button there. And in the investigation anomaly view, you can see the first thing is top contributors that are contributing to the drop as compared to the sales forecast. Usually you should have got at least in terms of average sales price, you should have at least had 644K. But what happened in this time period is you only made 307. And why this drop is because, let's see, the top contributor signals that there's something going wrong in terms of phones and then standard class in California. So to understand this further, I would go and look at in the heat map what went wrong.
Madhu, I want to, if I could jump in, I want to just refer back to something I said. Remember, I said, if there's just one signal, one value with one dimension, you could do that, right? You could get an idea of what the anomalies look like But then root cause analysis is still hard because you don't just have one dimension. And that heat map module was just showing you, this is exactly what I was talking about. When there's lots of parameters that are impacting that measurement, you don't know which one is impacting it. So when you've got that highly dimensional data, like I was talking about, this is the view that saves you. Even if you could get good at looking at anomalies and you thought that was a good use of your time, you can't do this. This requires a tool. So sorry, Madhu, I just want to point back to that thing I said initially. Go on.
No, that's a great point. Thanks for bringing that up. And yeah, this is what actually Third Eye does very differently as compared to many other tools. And the main thing is because it is powered by Pinot, doing this dimension drills is not easy. If you know, it's like time consuming, it is resource intensive, and performance wise also, you can't see those insights so easily related to an anomaly. And that is something Third Eye makes it super easy for you. And in this example, as we saw, that the top contributors were related to phones and standard class in California. There's something wrong happening. So let's take a look at, so the subcategory phone, as you can see, there's a lot of like orders being placed. So it is trying to highlight what has been very different in this time period that is causing this anomaly. So if you look back to some period, the sales price was lower, but in terms of predicted value, it is dropped. So in fact, this insight may or may not be very useful in this case where there are a lot of orders placed in phones. So you may wonder, like, why still my forecast went down? And there could be other reasons. As you can see, sometimes it's not only positive signals, but there are negative signals around, say, office supplies. There is a huge drop. There is a second class shipment mode. There's a huge drop. There might be something going wrong with the shipments that are happening. Likewise, there could be multiple reasons or one reason that would be contributing to your drop. So once you get the insights, you can further drill down to validate your hypothesis, what would have caused the issue. Besides that, as I was talking about the events tab, you can correlate events. So I will, for this purpose, I will show you another example, because this order I created only on 15 days training period, but I have another alert that is actually performing better, and which is on 30 days alert period. And this is the beauty of Third Eye, that you could experiment multiple things until you get to a place like what is the right alert experience that you would like to create for users. So in this case, also the same kind of drop has happened, and it is trying to tell me, sorry, this is not the right example. My bad. I was looking at the page views, but I think I would like to go back and look at the sales order data. I have another interesting example, which I would like to share with you all. Give me 1 second. I know just taking some time to figure out what is that record, but for this demo purpose, there's something interesting I've seen, and I really want to share that with you all. So this is the anomaly that I'm interested in, which is also very similar why there was a drop in the sales price. And once I click investigate anomalies and come to the heat map, in this case, you can clearly see there is a drop in the consumer segment. And this average sales price drop has happened because of the consumer segment. And I can always see when this problem has started happening, and that is causing this problem. So I can always go back. This is week over week, but I can always go back to week over 2 weeks. 2 weeks back also, that's the case. Let's see, 3 weeks back, even 3 weeks back, this problem exists. 4 weeks back. Well, 4 weeks back in my consumer segment, I was doing pretty well in terms of my sales price. So something has started going wrong from last 3 weeks. Now, this is where I can try to look for events that would have caused this drop. So if I go to events, I can see that there is a pricing change that has happened, that was introduced. So I can always plot and see if that matches with my anomaly. guess what? It is matching. So this is the power of Third Eye, where you could correlate the events that could be contributing to your drop. And in this case, there was a price change that happened in your catalog, and you can ingest those price changes to your data, to your Third Eye, and then you can correlate that drop in Third Eye by looking at the metric drop and identifying what went wrong. And this way you could come to a conclusion, okay, I need to go and see what went wrong with the pricing catalog, or if I have to revisit my pricing strategy and do something about it. And given it is all happening in real time, you can quickly inform your sales operations, business operations team, and they can start acting on it immediately. And you can see that there's a clear like value to revenue. In this case, there's a revenue drop, right? And you can quickly act on it and then adjust your prices if needed, and prevent the losses to your business in terms of revenue loss. So like this, there are multiple things you could do with Third Eye. This is only sales price talking about that, but you could also monitor your page views. That is what I was showing here, which is Tim was talking about earlier, the consumer experience or product experience, and you can monitor your product KPIs and a lot of things you could do using Third Eye. With that, I will hand over back to Tim.
All right. And yeah, all I've got to say is thank you. I know there have been some questions. We're going to start taking those in a minute, but you probably want to take a picture of those two QR codes. Those are a good idea to have. One is to, on the right, the download for StarTree Community Edition. That's Apache Pinot and Third Eye. So it's a community licensed. Third Eye is a community licensed product. I don't think we said that up front. Probably should have. So you can download that for free and use it for free. There'll also be fully managed versions of it in the future and so forth. But in these early days, just download it, take a look, use it. It is there for you. And if you want to talk about Third Eye or talk about anything Pinot related or related to StarTree Cloud or like whatever, StarTree Community Slack is the place. That's the QR code on the left. Highly recommend that you join us there for that's the place where we hang out and we talk about things like this. So thank you. And there's a dedicated channel cryptically named Third Eye. There's probably no way you could have come up with that on your own. But yeah, jump into Third Eye channel if you got questions there.
I did also put the link. There's a short link in the side of the chat for it's STree, S like StarTree, but without the star. STree.ai/Slack also takes you to that same invite link for the Slack. So yeah, we could start from the Q&A. We have like 7 questions solidly, so we can try to kind of get through them as much as we can. All right. So Ken asks, how do plugins work? In particular, what context is available for a plugin to do interesting analytics?
Should I take up that question?
Yes, you should. Plugins to...
Yeah, so plugins, my first question is plugins to data source or algorithm we are talking about here?
Ken, you can write in the chat if you want to elaborate. Give him
Sure.
We can jump to the next question. We'll come back to his question. Okay. Oh, he said algorithms. You got it.
Okay. So yeah, it's interesting. There are different things you could do with Third Eye, and I can share the Third Eye help talk in the channel. So right now, out of the box, we support, you have seen already a bunch of them. And if you have your own, then we have a feature called HTTP API detector. Using that, you can plug in your own algorithm, and you can plug in with Apache Pinot as a data source and start monitoring your data. Did I answer your question? You want to know more? I can share also the doc link if you want to read more about it.
That would be great. We could put it, you could put it in the Slack, in the Third Eye Slack. So he said, what context is available? Pinot queries.
What context is available to the plugin? Like
Yeah.
what's the interface between the plugin and Third Eye, I think is the question, Ken.
Yeah, so how we connect to Third Eye, I mean from, sorry, how we connect to Pinot from Third Eye, is that the question?
Yeah, what if you're a plugin, what's your world? What do you see? If you're a Third Eye algorithm plugin, what kind of things come to you and what do you
Yeah, so you as
get back?
yeah, plugins in Third Eye are okay. Oh, this Yarden is typing, my bad. Okay, so
Not
yeah,
Yarden. It's not Yarden. It's another person that's labeled Yarden. It might be Sudeep, actually.
okay,
I
let
don't-
me that plugins in Third Eye are general and can implement a bunch of interface. Oh, I think somebody probably in
Yeah.
StarTree is
Okay.
to that.
All
Yeah,
right.
I
We
mean,
have a bunch of questions, so we probably should.
I think I'll quickly answer the Pinot thing part. So you just can connect to Pinot using Third Eye UI. As you can see, you can configure your Pinot connection there and connect to your Pinot source. Besides, Third Eye also provides a bunch of APIs, and I didn't talk about that briefly in my demo, but you could also use APIs to connect to data source or use any of the goodness that Third Eye provides in terms of detecting anomalies or evaluating an alert config, all of that. So I'll share the links here on the chat, and I guess folks are also responding to question. It's just that the name is confusing. Probably.
It's so funny. It's like you could definitely take advantage of this. You could say anything you want and you won't get in trouble because Yarden will get blamed for it. Okay.
I was
Peter
thinking Yarden knew Third Eye really well.
Peter asks, your upper and lower bounds, can they be set along a curve? Like we expect more traffic at lunch and dinner, morning and evening, rush, etc. And then he had a second part to this question where he says, can such upper and lower bounds be set manually? Set the ideal initial settings or new goals, and then compared to actuals like ML over time.
So can I hear the question again?
Your
It's
upper and lower bounds, can they be set along a curve? Like, for example, we expect more traffic at like lunch and dinner or morning and evening rush, etc. And then the second part of the question is, can such upper and lower bounds be set manually? Say the ideal initial settings or new goals, and then compared to actuals over time, like ML over time.
Yeah, so I think setting the upper bound and lower bound in a manual way, you could do through thresholds and the threshold template that is provided. Holdwinter is the algorithm that automatically learns the patterns and adjusts your like actual predicted, actual versus predicted. So you don't have to manually set those upper bound and lower bound. If the question is if we can adjust those upper bound and lower bound on the predicted value, if that is the question, then there are different ways you could. I think the question might be related to how I can smoothen the curve that anomaly detection detects. And for that, users can use, there are different parameters that a Holdwinter has called alpha, beta, gamma, and you can use that to adjust your curve. And if you want to kind of train your algorithm in certain boundaries, and you want the algorithm to operate between those boundaries.
Got it. Peter, or if anybody else, if we're going over your questions and you have additional statements, just feel free to write it in the chat. Okay, Ken asks, what is the best practice for using Third Eye to debug anomalies caused by upstream data issues? Example, big sales drop because we're not getting any records for the Northeast region sales, which we get from Kafka topic A, which is fed from where, what could cause the problem, that problem.
How we go about debugging it? Is that the question?
Caused by upstream data issues, yeah.
Yeah, so Third Eye also helps you to detect data quality issues. Again, you can, as I was showing the events data, and then you can correlate events to identify your metrics glitch. So if you are having Kafka topics that is ingesting your data and something going wrong, if you could catch those signals and say if you ingest that as an event stream into Third Eye, you can correlate during that time frame something, some Kafka topic got the Kafka topic ingested the data. So the time of the event you could store, and then you can correlate that event that would have caused issue. The other ways to identify data quality issue, I think the main root cause of this problem is something went upstream wrong and your KPIs are getting impacted. For that, you could do data quality checks also using Third Eye in terms of, say, at a regular cadence, you're ingesting a volume of data to your data stream, and on a daily basis, there are a certain amount of records you ingest. So you could also do detection and kind of do on a time series basis, what does your data pattern look like in terms of ingestion data pattern, the count or the completeness and availability kind of checks using those stats, bringing those stats to Third Eye, and then outlier detection on top of it. So that will also help you to proactively identify your data quality issues, and then you can make sure your KPIs are not impacted. You can take the action, whether it is data backfills or data updates that you need to do to make your KPIs not impacted. One of the things that one of our users are doing, they have an offline use case where they're ingesting data, and then every 2 to 3 days, they have to correct the data because they are encountering data quality issues. So they are identifying those data quality issues. Then they have configured the alerts in such a way for the KPIs, because these offline KPIs doesn't need to be monitored on a daily basis. Sometimes you're looking on a weekly pattern or in couple of days. What they are doing is they're detecting alerts in few days. They have a completeness delay check that they can check using Third Eye alerts, and then detect outliers on the KPIs. So with this feature, what happens is any data correctness you're doing, you can use Third Eye to detect those data quality issues in advance, fix that, and then you do an outlier detection on your KPI. So as a result, in the whole, you're still able to save the data quality related impact to your KPIs. And yeah.
Madhu, a question that this, presenters get to ask questions too, dang it. I think maybe the question under the question, an anomaly, when you set up an anomaly detector, you're doing that on one table, right? And so if there are multiple streams that you need to bring together, you have a stream processor prior to ingest that you do that enrichment, but you're just detecting, you've got a measurement and their dimensions, and it's one table, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
You can bring in those stats to one table, or you could do even count query right on your data, and then do a pattern study on the count. If over a period your counts are changing, like suddenly dropping, like how many record volume, you could also do checks, similar checks in the using Third Eye.
There you go.
Your record count.
Okay, we have 3 questions left, unless there's more that come in. So Murali asks, once anomaly is detected, did we have any action area where we trigger action? So for example, cloud cost goes beyond control. We want to automate a resource shutdown.
That's an interesting question. What I think user is asking, if I can automate it's self-healing, I would say, like once I identified an anomaly, it can trigger something, which we don't do it today, but there's something in our mind, like how we can, auto trigger some of those things. So I think that's a great idea. I would love to hear more. If you could share some more insights around that, like what exactly you want to do with that once you identify anomaly, and what's your use case. We can definitely chat about that later.
Yeah, Murali, if you want to write directly to Madhu on Slack, you totally can. She's on there too. So,
but right now, Third Eye needs you to take responsibility for your own choices.
Okay.
At least it is giving you the right insights, what you need to do, call to action. Of course, there are multiple call to action you could do. And it's interesting to learn what are those call to action, and then we can think about automating that. but we definitely have in mind, have given thought about it, how we can introduce self-healing part to third eye.
All right. Morales said, thank you. Okay. Peter asks another question. Can you set up rules for anticipated or known conditional predictive situations for unusual but expected behavior? This would prevent predictable events or behaviors from being flagged as a false alarm. So for example, Monday is a bank holiday, so no one should freak out when the branches are all closed today and still expect the ATM to work. Take it easy, folks. And he said, to clarify above, technically, what sort of conditional grammar / logic is available to set up more complex rules?
Yeah, that's a great question. In fact, what we are talking about here is the holiday impact and managing the holiday impact, how I can improve the anomaly detection so that I'm not getting false alarm based on holidays. So in fact, recently, one of our engineers have worked on that, and in the new upcoming release, we are also releasing that. It is already released to some of our users who are using Third Eye, and it's managing the holiday impact, and you can totally do that with simple configuration, providing your holiday list in as part of the alert configuration, and it will be part of the template, that alert templates that I was showing earlier. And you just have to add those parameters, and it can automatically start taking that into consideration while it is predicting the values, so that if you're having a bank holiday, and it won't change your baseline or the predicted value based on that.
Great, thank you. Okay. Oop. Oh, yes. Okay, so Noel asks, can it handle events that aren't as well defined, but still somewhat periodic? So for example, Amazon Prime Day, Super Bowl, World Cup, etc.
Yeah, so the events framework that Third Eye has makes it super easy for you to ingest any kind of event. We don't restrict, the framework is very flexible. So you can get event which are more streaming in nature, or regular holidays, but also you can ingest one-off events that doesn't happen at a certain pattern. Doesn't matter. You could, as long as you ingest the events to Third Eye, and if there is an anomaly, you could correlate those events. It automatically does that correlation for you, and surface that correlation in the root cause analysis view that I was showing you earlier. And if it's an Amazon Prime Day event, it's happening during that same time period, you can always correlate as long as you have ingested that information. Right now, obviously, we do not have out of the box connectors that will bring in some of those events. But that is something part of our roadmap. We are thinking of bringing weather data. We already support Google Calendar. So if you are using Google Calendar holidays, so if you are using Google as your calendar, you can easily provide that, and it will start flowing into Third Eye. Some of the things you still have to do in a custom way, but great part is Third Eye also has an API. So you can use events APIs and write scripts, and that will ingest any custom and ad hoc events to Third Eye.
Awesome.
And if you're interested in more connector, you want Third Eye to support those connectors, feel free to share your ideas and feedback on the Slack channel, and we'll be able to take it from there.
Yes. Actually, I think that you might have already answered Robert's additional question, but is it possible to import events into Third Eye from another system like Google Calendar? Yeah, so we already answered that question in the last answer, so that's good. So yes, the answer is yes. Okay, so unless we have any other questions, I think that's it. I'm going to give people like one more second to, if you want to raise your hand. Well, we have a raised hand, Peter, but I don't know if that's like a, okay, it looks like we're good. Nope, just a comment. Nice, thank you, Peter. So thank you guys for taking the time out of your day and doing this presentation and the demo. Demos are always scary. And thank you guys for all attending. And if you have any additional questions, please join in the Slack, StarTree.ai/Slack. And in Third Eye channel, or you can message any of us directly. And Jordan, is that actually you writing in the chat, or is that like She's the one
Yeah,
with the
this is
picture.
it's the original Yarden now. It's me.
Somebody's like, I
Except,
don't know. who
except
this
no
other-
substitutes.
Actually, the other Yarden is answering questions, but only writing to the hosts. So,
Yeah, it was also me.
oh, for
No, I'm
special
kidding.
events, both events happening. Oh, that was you. Yeah, I'm sure. Third Eye expert.
Ken
Been here with
has some
us
more
for-
questions about the plugin API. If you can
I
follow
don't
up with
mind
him
be
here,
the
but
one who answered the question. I can take it.
Fact is, she could. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Thank
And
you guys
look
all.
forward to talking to you further.
Yes,
Thank
see you guys
you.
on the other side.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.